up in court and all that bullshit and go into court, and I don't like that.
Trying to destroy everything that had ever been good regarding Sly and the Family Stone.
Sly Stone's bandmates might truly hate the guy for good reason. So, Sly and the Family Stone weren't just making hits, they were making history. But behind the feel-good anthems and groundbreaking success, things were a mess.
I'm going to rehab.
You're going to go to rehab?
Yeah.
So you are still using?
Well, no, but I want to be true with it.
Sly wasn't just difficult, he was unpredictable, unreliable, and, according to some, straight up impossible to work with. The drugs, the power trips, the no-shows, it all pushed his bandmates to the edge. But what finally made them snap? Let's get into it. In the beginning, the band had a hard time. They had talent, but things did not go well. They made their first album a whole new thing. The music was good, and some people liked it, but not many people bought it. Because of this, they could only perform in small clubs.
Well, I had a band at the Cow Palace. Well, every time shows came to the Cow Palace, as they do at the Forum or wherever, at that time, there were big bands that took care of all the music.
They wanted to be famous, but it was not happening.
When I look back on it, I realized I was writing blues, but I had a rock and roll attitude.
The music business can be tough. The band signed with CBS Records, a big music company. The boss of the company, Clive Davis, saw their struggle. He liked their music but knew they needed a song that more people would enjoy. He told Sly, the band's leader, to make a song that could be a big hit. At first, Sly was not happy about this. He wanted to make the kind of music he loved, not just what the company wanted. But he also knew they needed success. Even though Sly was unsure, the band worked on a new song. They created Dance to the Music.
Dance to the music. Dance to the music.
This song was different. It had energy, a fun beat, and made people want to dance. When they released it, something amazing happened. The song became very popular. It climbed up the music charts and reached number 1, 8 on the Billboard Hot 100.
A little too big. It was almost too big to happen. You know, I thought we would happen, but at the time it was... Whew.
This song changed everything for the band. People started to notice them. More fans came to their shows. They no longer had to perform in tiny clubs. Their music was now played on the radio, and they started getting more chances to perform in bigger places. Even though they struggled at first, they did not give up. They kept going, and when they finally had a hit song, their hard work paid off.
I'm going to rehab.
You're going to go to rehab?
Yeah.
So you are still using?
Well, no, but I want to be true with it.
But as their fame grew, problems started to happen. Sly Stone, the leader of the band, started using drugs heavily. He used cocaine and PCP, which made him act strange and unpredictable. His drug use caused big problems for the band. At first, Sly was full of energy and creativity. He wrote great songs and performed with passion. But as his drug use increased, he became unreliable. He often missed concerts or showed up late. Fans started to get frustrated. Some concerts were even canceled because Sly did not show up. This hurt the band's reputation. They were once known for their exciting live shows, but now people never knew if they would even perform. Inside the band, things were also falling apart. The members started fighting. There was tension between Sly and Larry Graham, the bass player. Sly also started surrounding himself with new people, including gangsters and bodyguards. These people controlled his life and made things worse. Some band members did not trust them and felt unsafe. The band, once a close family, was now full of problems and mistrust. Because of Sly's behavior, the band's music slowed down. Between 1969 and 1971, they only released one single, Thank You, Verletten me be myself again. and Everybody is a Star.
Everybody is a star.
Even though Thank You was a big hit, the band was not making music like before. Instead of being in the studio, they were partying and using drugs. Sly carried a violin case filled with drugs everywhere he went. This lifestyle made it hard for them to work together and create new songs. Sly's drug use got worse. By 1970, he was on drugs almost all the time. He became moody and difficult to deal with. He would miss studio sessions and concerts. His bandmates did not know what to do. He also started hiring new drummers, but none of them stayed long. The band was losing its stability. In 1971, drummer Greg Errico left the band. Other members thought about leaving too.
I know he was growing apart from the rest of his band. It really was just the Sly Stone show at that point.
Yeah, I think that was the beginning of it. The band was still together at the time, but definitely starting to fracture.
Epic Records, their music label, started to get worried. Fans wanted new music, but the band was not producing enough. To keep fans happy, the label re-released old songs. They put together a greatest hits album, which did well. But this was only a short-term solution. The band needed new music to stay successful. Sly tried to work on other projects. He signed a deal with Atlantic Records and started a label called Stone Flower Productions. He worked with other artists and released some songs. One of the songs, Somebody's Watching You, was the first to use a drum machine.
He used that Rhythm King, which was the first drum machine to be used in that track. Up till then it was use your drummer, but he laid down that track because the drummer wasn't there, or it was 4 a.m. and he had a great idea.
But Sly lost interest in the project, and the label shut down in 1971. By the mid-1970s, the band was not the same. Their album, Fresh in 1973, was their last major success. After that, their popularity dropped. Sly's drug addiction took over his life.
He was indulging in a lot of stuff, and from what I'm told, there's a lot of times when he was just writing and on a jag and up for days working on a track, and then he'd just erase it.
He lost money, became homeless at times, and struggled to keep his career alive. The band that once ruled the charts was now falling apart. Drugs and bad decisions had destroyed what was once great.
See, my money is hung up in court and all that bullshit, and going to court, and I don't even like that.
Sly Stone had a big problem with money. He said his former manager, Gerald Goldstein, and his lawyer, Glenn Stone, took money that belonged to him. He said they kept his royalty payments for many years and left him with nothing. This money came from his hit songs, but he never saw it. Sly trusted these men to take care of his earnings, but instead of helping him, they used his money for themselves. He believed they cheated him. Because of this, he decided to take legal action. In 2010, he filed a lawsuit against them. He wanted justice because he felt they had stolen from him. He asked the court to make them pay him back. The case went to court, and a jury listened to both sides. They looked at the evidence and made a decision. After 2 days of thinking about it, the jury decided that Sly was right. They agreed that his manager and lawyer had taken his money unfairly. The jury said he should be paid $5 million. The court said that Even Street Productions, the company that worked with his manager, must pay $2.5 million. Gerald Goldstein had to pay $2.45 million. Glenn Stone, his lawyer, had to pay $50,000. This was because they had taken money that belonged to Sly. The court wanted to make things fair for him. Sly's lawyer, Nicholas Hornberger, was happy with the decision. He said that many artists in the music industry suffer because they trust the wrong people. Many musicians do not handle their own money, so they rely on managers and lawyers. But sometimes, these people take advantage of them. Sly was one of those artists. The people who lost the case did not agree with the verdict. Gerald Goldstein's lawyer, Gregory Bodell, said that Sly actually received a lot of money over the years. He claimed Sly got as much as $9 million. He also said that Sly broke a deal in 1988 to make more music, which was supposed to help him earn even more. But the jury did not believe this argument. They believed Sly had been cheated. Sly Stone was once one of the biggest funk artists in the world. He was the leader of the group Sly and the Family Stone. They had big hits like Dance to the Music and Everyday People. He later became a solo artist in 1975, but over the years, he struggled with problems. In 1987, Sly was arrested for using cocaine. After that, he disappeared from the music world. Many people did not know what happened to him. In 2011, it was reported that he was homeless. He was living in a small camper van. It was shocking because he had once been rich and famous. Sly Stone had a serious drug problem, and it affected his family in many ways. His daughter, Fun Stone, grew up watching her father use cocaine.
You were one of the people tasked with helping to keep the drug dealers away when he's trying to stay clean. Is that true?
I had a few conversations.
As a child, she did not fully understand what was happening. She just saw her father doing something and wanted to copy him. Fun grew up in a world full of adults. She often felt like she was already grown, even though she was still a child. She did not have many other kids around her. Because of this, she picked up on things that children should not see.
I had a few conversations, yeah. So I'll just be like, look, bro, you know what I'm saying? You got a dad too. This is my dad. You're killing him.
One day, while playing with her friends, she saw her father had left behind some razor blades after using cocaine. She did not know the danger of what she was doing, but she took the blades and used them to cut up lines of chalk. She and her friends pretended they were doing the same thing the adults did. They even used Monopoly money to make it seem real. They sneezed a lot, but they kept going because they thought it was a game. Even though her parents loved each other, her father was not around much. Foon believed her mother loved Sly Stone more than any other man. After they separated, Cynthia never dated anyone else. She stayed focused on raising her daughter. But Fun wished her father had been around more. She missed having him in her life like other children had their fathers. As Fun got older, she and her father lost touch. His drug use and lifestyle kept them apart. But in recent years, they reconnected. When they finally met again, it was very emotional. They both cried, and the people around them also cried. They hugged each other for a long time. It was a special moment for both of them.
Did you think that your father would be 80, he'd be publishing his memoir, and you'd be sitting on chairs to talk about him?
No, these moments...
Sly Stone's drug use did not just affect his daughter. His son, Sylvester Stewart Jr., also struggled with his father's reputation. He remembered hearing about his father getting arrested for drugs. It made him sad because he wanted his father to be the man everyone said he was when he was young. For many years, he felt distant from his father, but in recent years, they started to build a better relationship. Sly Stone finally stopped using drugs in 2019. His health had gotten worse because of his past lifestyle. He had problems with his lungs and could not breathe well. He admitted that he should have stopped using drugs earlier. He still loved making music, and he wished he had taken better care of himself.
He's clean now, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
How long has he been clean?
This will be in December, it'll be 4 years.
4 years?
Yeah.
A new documentary tells the story of Sly Stone's life. It shows how he became famous and how drugs changed his career. It includes interviews with his family and old band members. His children share their memories of growing up with him and how his choices affected their lives. Even though he made mistakes, his children still love him and are happy to have him in their lives now.
Basically, the basis of the film, like, it was almost at his undoing, as opposed to just like revisionist history and erasure.
Sly Stone also has chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, which makes it hard for him to breathe. His lung capacity has become much smaller, and he struggles with simple activities. Doctors warned him that if he did not stop using drugs, his lungs would get worse and he could die. In 2019, he finally decided to get clean. Since then, he has stayed away from drugs, which is a big achievement for him. Even though his health is still bad, he is living a more peaceful life now. As earlier stated, his addiction affected his career, his health, and his relationship with his family. His children, who are now adults, did not have many memories of a normal life with him when they were young. His daughter, Novena Carmel, who is now 43, said that when she was a child, she tried to talk to him on the phone. But he was so high on drugs that he did not even know who she was. She said this made her feel sad because she wanted a better relationship with her father. His son, Sylvester Stewart Jr., said that he never really had normal moments with his father growing up. He knew that his father was under a lot of stress and pressure because of his fame. However, now that Sly is clean, his son finally feels like they have been able to have some normal moments together. A new documentary called Sly Lives was made by musician Questlove. The film tells the story of Sly Stone's life, his rise to fame, his struggles with drugs, and his life now.
We interviewed him for Summer of Soul. Like, not a lot of people know that. And we gave it our best shot, but he, health-wise, just wasn't in a place where it made sense to put him on camera.
Basically, the basis of the film, like, it was almost at his undoing, as opposed to just like revisionist history and erasure.
The film includes interviews with his children, who talk about their experiences with their father. They describe how his addiction affected them, but they also share how things have changed in recent years. His daughter Novena said that she now has a much simpler relationship with her father. When she asked him what he wanted for his birthday, he only asked for a big pizza with all the toppings. She laughed and said that he is just like a regular old man who enjoys simple things like Western movies and cars. Fun Stone, another daughter of Sly, talked about how her father was always very shy. She believed that drugs helped him feel more confident and fearless when he was younger. This may have been one reason he turned to drugs in the first place. Many people saw him as a strong and exciting performer, but behind the scenes, he was struggling with his emotions. Drugs may have given him the courage to perform, but they also destroyed his career and his health over time. In 2023, Sly Stone spoke about his journey to getting clean.
Stone?
I'm going to rehab.
You're going to go to rehab?
Yeah.
So you are still using?
Well, no, but I want to be through with it.
He said that he had been in the hospital several times because of his breathing problems. His doctors warned him that if he did not stop smoking crack, his lungs would be completely ruined. After hearing this, he finally made the decision to stop using drugs. He had tried before, but always went back to his old habits. This time, he was serious about quitting. Since 2019, he has not used drugs, and his family is very proud of him for making that change. Even though Sly Stone is clean now, his health has not improved much. He has lost a lot of his ability to move and speak properly. His mind is still sharp, but he struggles to communicate. Because of this, the producers of Sly Lives decided not to include a new interview with him in the film. They felt it would not be fair to show him in his current condition. One of the producers, Joseph Patel, said that they wanted to tell the story with empathy. They did not want to put Sly on camera when he was struggling so much. Sly Stone made a rare public appearance in 2015, performing with his daughter, Fun Stone. At that time, he was already having health problems, but he was still able to sing and play music. Now, because of his illness, he can no longer perform like he used to. His family continues to support him, and they are happy that he is at least living a cleaner life.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to think of anything before Sly and the Family Stone that was quite like that.
Sly and the Family Stone were one of the most exciting bands of their time. They played funky, energetic music that made people want to dance. Their live performances were full of energy, and fans loved them. The band had a mix of black and white musicians, and both men and women played together. This was not common back then, and it made them special.
Everything about Sly and the Family Stone was meant to break a rule or be taboo or just be uncharted territory.
Their music was a mix of soul, funk, and rock, and they had many hit songs. People loved their positive messages about unity and love.
Like even the existence of an intersectional and interracial group, what Sly spoke about, a lot of those lyrics are confessional.
At first, their concerts were amazing. Fans packed the venues, and the band played with passion. Sly Stone, the leader, was full of energy. He sang, played instruments, and got the crowd excited. But as time passed, things changed. Sly started having personal problems. He became unreliable, and this affected the band's live performances. Sometimes he showed up late for concerts. Other times, he did not come at all. This made fans angry, and the band's reputation started to suffer. By the early 1970s, the band had serious problems. Sly's personal struggles became worse. He started using drugs, and this changed him. He became less focused, and his behavior became unpredictable. The band members started having problems with each other. The mix of different races and personalities, which once made them special, now caused conflicts. They argued, and this made it harder to work together. Some members wanted to leave, but they stayed because they hoped things would get better. Things got really bad in 1974 during their tour. The concerts were often a mess. Sly was late to shows or did not show up at all. Sometimes the band played without him. Other times, the crowd waited for hours, only for the concert to be canceled. Fans who had bought tickets felt cheated. Promoters and venues lost money, and soon, fewer people wanted to book the band. Instead of being one of the greatest live acts, they became known for being unreliable. The chaos of the 1974 tour was a turning point. The band was no longer the same. Members were tired of the problems, and some decided to leave. Sly continued making music, but it was not like before. The band had once been full of joy and energy, but now it was falling apart. The magic that made them special was gone. Their popularity dropped, and they never fully recovered.
Thank you for letting me be myself again.
The band had big problems. Money disappeared, and the band members were not paid properly. Many of them felt cheated and took legal action. Sly had a lot of money coming in, but he spent it just as fast. He bought expensive cars, and at one point, he owned 13 of them. He liked luxury and enjoyed his fame, but he was not careful with his money. While he lived a flashy lifestyle, the band struggled with financial problems. Bad management also made things worse.
See, my money is hung up in court and all that bullshit, and going to court, and I don't like that.
As time passed, Sly started missing concerts. Fans waited for him to perform, but sometimes he didn't show up at all. A show at the Apollo Theater was a disaster, and newspapers called him a has-been at just 26 years old. People started losing faith in him. Things got even worse in Chicago when a concert was canceled. A riot broke out, lasting 5 hours, with 150 people arrested and 25 injured. The band said they canceled because the riot had already started, but the media blamed them. Recording new music became a struggle. Sly booked studio time but never showed up. His record label tried to help by setting up a recording studio in his apartment. They hoped this would make things easier for him, but it didn't work. When famous musician Miles Davis visited Sly's home to collaborate on a song, he was shocked. The place was filled with people, bodyguards with guns, and drugs everywhere. Miles decided not to work with him. People around Sly noticed his drug problem. He was addicted to cocaine and had no control over it. A record label executive said Sly had great musical taste but terrible lifestyle choices. Bandmate Rusty Allen once heard Sly say he had done too many bad things and believed God would not forgive him. A concert at Radio City Music Hall showed just how far Sly had fallen. The band booked 8 shows, but on opening night, only 1,100 people showed up in a venue that could hold 6,000. Kool and the Gang performed first and finished at 9:30. Sly arrived an hour late, played for only 45 minutes, and left. The audience was disappointed, and newspapers called it the biggest rip-off of the year. After this, the band stopped getting booked for shows. Cynthia Robinson, the band's trumpet player, said she never quit the band. She just stopped getting calls. The group fell apart, and Sly went solo. He performed sometimes but never reached the same success. In 1983, he got arrested for cocaine possession. He went to rehab for 6 months, but it didn't help much. A nurse warned him about drug tests, so he always passed them. Sly Stone once ruled the music world, but bad choices and drug problems ruined his career. The band's breakup in the 1970s was heartbreaking for fans. What could have been a legendary career ended in disappointment.